I think this is day 3 of the dream, because I saw the third block being painted, and it was that view that we left off with yesterday, the view that shows the earth and it shows heaven and the universe in between. And yes, that was the Lord on the horse. But the battle hadn't started yet. What this dream was about was showing me the vast amount of armies that are at his disposal, the heavenly armies, the angelic armies, the regenerated armies. Because the whole thing started off with his horse. I was actually on the road and I was walking up to him. It was almost like I was invisible because he couldn't see me. He didn't react to me, and I couldn't touch anything. But I was able to walk by the horse and look up, and I could see that it was Jesus, and I could see almost invisibly through his robe. I could see on his thigh those words, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. But it didn't look like a tattoo. It looked kind of like invisible writing, because I could see that he had skin. He had glorified skin. He had human skin that had a different glow than regular human skin, because his body had been resurrected, regenerated. But the writing was kind of glass-like. You could almost see into it. You could almost see through it because it had a shimmering effect that looked different than his regular skin. But you could easily see the words, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. And I just noticed that out of the corner of my eye as I was walking by. And then my body lifted up again, and I could see the vast amount of people. It was almost like I was flying over them slowly, so I could get a look at the different kind of armies there are. And the first one were angels, and they had on armor and breastplates, and they were about most of them were about 6 or 7 feet tall. Some were a little bit taller. They had on this really cool armor, and some of them had wings, and some of them didn't have wings. Some of them had swords, and the swords themselves. There was 3 different kinds of swords. There was a kind of sword that had it was regular metal looking, but they had a gold tinge or a silver tinge to them. And they resembled earthly metal, but they had kind of a transparent look to them. And then the other kind of sword were a flaming sword, swords that were made out of actual fire, and they didn't burn just like regular fire, like earthly fire. It had a different quality that sort of spread out as it went up. And then the other kind of sword looked like frozen lightning bolts, like a lightning bolt had shot up, and then it was sort of stuck in one place, but you could still see it pulsating, and you could still see all the power emanating from it. And then some of the soldiers or some of the angels there, they also had bows and arrows, and again it was the same thing. The bows were made out of something that looked like earthly metal, but it wasn't. It had a silver tinge and a gold tinge to it, and it was transparent again, like the swords. And in the quivers, they had the same 3 kind of arrows that were made out of the same kind of material that the swords were made out of. There were some arrows that looked like lightning, and there were some arrows that looked like fire, and then there were some arrows that just had that regular metallic look to them. And some of those angels had spears. Again, the same thing with the spears. Some look like lightning, some look like fire, and some look just like earthly metal with a heavenly quality to them. And then behind that group of angels, or those groups of angels, there were angels that were on horses. These angels were a little bit taller, and these horses were about the same size as the Lord's horses. So they're about 12, 15 feet high, big horses, and big angels on them. And there was a group of horses that were all white, and there was a group of horses that were all black, and they had colors that looked like marble patterns, or like Rocky Mountain patterns, or the patterns that you see in an ocean, kind of an ocean kind of color, or patterns that were looking like fall leaves in a forest. You see all these different colors in the forest. Some were patterned like that. Some were patterned like rock and stuff like that. And so were the angels. There were groups of angels that didn't have regular one-tone skin. They had multi-tone skin. And then there's another group of horses and angels behind them. Except these horses, they had wings. Some of them had wings that were the same colors as the horses themselves, but they were huge wings. You know, there were white horses, there were black horses, there were fiery red horses and marble-colored horses. And then there was another group of horses that had double wings, and that was so cool. I'd never seen anything like that too. When they stretched out, their wing patterns were just kind of, I don't know, it was just, I can see why that the Lord is showing me this one day at a time, because so far there's no way I could have taken in all this information all at the same time. And anyway, behind those angels, there was a final group of angels, and these angels, they're about 30 feet tall. Some a little bit taller, some a little bit shorter, but they averaged about 30 feet tall. But they didn't have on armor or anything. They just had like a loincloth, and on their feet, they looked like they had bare feet. But when they were walking, they kind of sparked when they made a step, and when they sparked, you could see that the kind of sandals that they were wearing were invisible. They were made out of some kind of invisible material, and you could even see the straps too. The straps would reflect the light in a different way. So if you weren't paying attention, you'd swear they were in bare feet. But if you looked closely, you could see that they had kind of invisible kind of sandals on them. But these angels were really strong and opposing. Some had long hair, some had short hair. Again, some were one-tone skin, and some of them were multi-tone skin. But these guys were big and opposing, or imposing. And they had, and they only had a spear. That's all they had. And it wasn't made out of the same material as the rest. It looked like they took a pine tree and just stripped all the leaves off of it, or stripped all the leaves and branches off of it, and just formed it with their hands into a spear. And the spearhead looked like it had, it was made out of some kind of metal that was different than all the rest of the metal there. And then behind those angels, I could see people. I can only call them people because they look exactly like those raptured people. They had heavenly robes. There were some tall people, some short people. You could tell some people were black, were red, were white, were yellow, were olive tone skinned. They were the regenerated people. They were the redeemed people. And some of them were walking, and some of them had weapons as well. Some of them had one of the three kinds of swords. Some of them had a spear, or some of them had bows and arrows too. And some were in chariots pulled by these horses that could, these horses had breastplates on them, you know, really strong looking metallic breastplate. And when they snorted, it looked like ambers coming through. It looked like fire coming through, but not flames of fire, but you could tell that it seemed like their insides were made out of fire. So when they snorted, these bright burning ambers burned through. And when they stepped, every time they stepped on the road, they made kind of sparks all over the place because these things were heavy. And then their footprints that they left were like balls of fire. There was a horseshoe kind of shape, but there was flames coming out of it. So as they moved by, they left a trail of fire. And it was not the kind of fire that would burn anything that was in heaven. Not that kind of material. And again, the wheels on the chariots too, they also sparked, and they left flames, trails of fire. And then there was another group of people. Basically, they were the redeemed people, but these ones could fly. They were floating above the road. So there are two groups of people. One group of people that could walk, and one group of people that could fly. And they were all dressed for battle as well. And then the final group behind them were just regular regenerated people. They couldn't fly. They didn't have any weapons, but they had instruments. They were the ones playing this music. Some had harps, some had stringed instruments, and most were just singing. Some had tambourines, and the song they were playing, it's just so beautiful. I'd never heard anything like it. I wish I could reproduce it, but I'm sure we'll hear it when we get to heaven. And anyway, again, my body pulled back away from the road, and I could see the city of heaven there with the edge of the universe. I could see the light road going all the way down to the earth too. And the walk from heaven to earth across the universe, it only took maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes. With modern day technology, it would take thousands and thousands of years to cross millions and millions of light years of time and space to get from Earth to the end of the universe. But when you come from heaven and you're made of heavenly substance and you're not bound by the time-space universe that we are, you can traverse the entire expanse of the universe in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long it took. It just seemed like everybody was kind of preparing themselves and psyching themselves up, because everybody was both had a mixture of being elated because they just came from heaven, they just came from the presence of love, but at the same time they knew that they were going into battle with people, with those who had chosen the number of the beast, with those who had chosen to follow the ways of Lucifer, with those who became part of the one world system. They knew that they were about to battle the most evil, wicked people of mankind. Everybody that was left behind that accepted the number of the beast, those who weren't martyred and went to heaven, they knew they were in the battle. And anyway, they finally got to the end of the light road. I could see everyone standing there. I could see Earth far below. I could see the curvature of the Earth. And they were, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 miles above the Earth when the Lord signaled to stop. And you could see the area of Israel below there. So you knew within a matter of minutes they were about to leave the light road of heaven and make their way down to the Valley of Armageddon. And that's when the dream ended on that one. So it was kind of scary, but it was kind of exciting too. Gotta imagine the next dream, the fourth dream, is when the battle's gonna happen. So if it does, I'll post another video. I'll make another video. So whoever you are that finds this, just call on the name of the Lord Jesus, and you'll get to experience all the beauty of heaven as well. And you'll get to live on the new earth. Because right now, I'm at the beginning of the 7 years of tribulation. Just a couple of months into it, a couple of weeks into it. I'm not sure exactly when. But we haven't even got to the end of the 7 years of tribulation yet. So the battle that I've been dreaming of is yet to come. So if you find this before the end of the 7 years, you're going to see heaven's armies descend down to this earth. So call upon the name of the Lord Jesus and you'll be saved.